where we have been told the it was not the mistake of the driver. We really need to figure out how it was not his mistake and what exactly took place. And based on those factors, I think the decision should be made regarding him either being him either being letting him either continue with his job or firing him.
I believe that the court's ruling indicates that the driver was held responsible, possibly due to negligence which may occur in such scenarios. However, I believe that ultimately the company should choose to retain him, but may need to carefully evaluate his future responsibilities. I believe they could uh, offer him certain support or just keep him for some other role apart from driving, because I believe that dismissal might be too severe considering his history and the nature of the incident.
I think there are, like, I agree, there are a lot of variables in play over here. If the driver didn't do it and he was still punished by court, there is a sort of impression. And if this was publicized by media and would create a bad impression about, like, create some impression about the company, there are a lot of factors that come into play here. So it also depends on if the driver was defended properly or not, and if keeping the driver uh, in the company would create would have a bad impact on the company.
Yes, exactly. As it was mentioned in the study, in the case description, it was not his mistake. It could either be the brakes were malfunctioning or any other case of restricted view. He could not see her. And we also know the driver had been with the company for 25 years and he was good at his job. So this does not mean he has a careless background with him of reckless driving or driving under influence or any of such sorts. It maybe a automobile manufacturing malfunction or any other case controllables which was not in his control also, and it was just a tragic accident. And the court would still punish him obviously because of the death of the young girl crossing the road. It also might be that the girl might be crossing at the wrong time on a signal or something else. Though although the court did punish him, but given his previous record, which we know, it could have been a case of something which was not in the driver's control as well. So I think the company should go through this case thoroughly and then come to a decision regarding retaining him or firing him.
Right. To put it more structurally, I think there could be two possible ways we could look at it: internal factors or external factors. Internal factors could include things like issues with the car or issues that the driver might be facing, which could include his health problems or whatever. So he intentionally probably did not do it, which is, but the accident did happen by him, which is why the court could have punished him. Or factor external factors, which could include the driver's not probably at fault, but something, but the girl was probably crossing at the wrong time, or things, or there was probably fog or thing external factors that would have uh, led to the accident. uh, so I feel all of these factors must should be evaluated by the company, and only then can a conclusion be reached, irrespective of the fact that the court punishes him or not. There are other multiple factors that the company needs to consider.
I agree with these points. I said there can be a lot of factors, but also research like this would take time verifying everything, gathering the data. And we already know that the court did punish him. So that is a fact. What we can, what can help us decide whether to retain him or not is the extent of the punishment that the court has provided. It is a loss of a life. So if the punishment of the court is a little lenient, like some sort of compensation or some sort of compensation or his driver's license being taken away, or it's more extreme like jail time, depending on the kind of punishment that has been given by the court, can help us decide whether we should retain him or not. If it's on the lower scale, we can consider we should retain him considering his 25 years with us. His reviews have been good, that he was good at his job. Maybe we could change the department he works in, and if it's on the extremer end, then I don't think we should retain him.
I believe that the decision to retain him or not should not be on the basis of the severity of the punishment by the court, because if the court has punished him in the first place, then it must be that there is some evidence that uh, keeps him in the guilty position. So I believe that the decision that is to be taken by the company is to be on the basis of whether he was at fault or not.
With Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So at the end of the day, the problem was a person was killed. So I don't think um, there is this aspect of a minor punishment or a major. A punishment would be a punishment if a person dies. So ultimately, what also needs to be, I feel multiple factors need to be considered over here. And if the driver is not fit for the role, he obviously has to be removed, and also depends on the company's position and what the company does. If it is very much exposed to the media and things like that, then the company also has to evaluate those aspects, and in because all of that might lead to um the performance of the company eventually in the eyes of the people.
I agree with that. Maybe firing based only on the decision, coach decision was wrong on my part. That is a very narrow part, a narrow aspect to decide on. But for a short term, immediate decision that could be used, not completely hire or fire him, but by the time the research is carried out, everything has formed. That basis can form. Okay, should we switch him to a different department? Should we put him on probation while our research is done? A decision like that can be taken using this. I still think that because this is the one fact we do have available right now with us. And as you said, yes, the a person's as someone said, a person's life was lost, but we also said that it was not his fault. If so, while that research is being carried out, till what extent was it or was it not? The court still decided to give him some punishment. If in the court's eyes also his fault was not as much, the punishment would have been lesser than what would have happened if the court saw him as completely guilty.
Harshita, would you like to summarize the discussion?
Okay. Um, since the case study clearly states that the accident was unintentional and that it was not his fault, so I believe that firing the driver could set a dangerous precedent for how employees facing unforeseen and tragic circumstances are treated. However, a proper evaluation of the case must be conducted so that it does not hamper the reputation of the company as well as that of the driver and how the company treats their employees.
Gurkeerat, please summarize.
I believe we have gone through as a group we have gone through a lot of outcomes which could take place, and a lot of these factors are not known to us and could either be the controllables or uncontrollables, and as mentioned, the external factors or internal factors. So I believe decisions should be made, but not in any haste or any way that could harm the driver or the company. It should There should be a committee formed which could go through this. As the driver has been loyal to the company for a very long time, he should not be treated as someone. He should be treated fairly and given a fair chance to present his case. And if everything works out for him, he should be hired back. And if it doesn't, he should be fired with grace.
Vithi, summarize.
So we have discovered that there are a lot of variables that come into play when we look at this case, and as a group, we've discussed most of them. I feel what the conclusion that we've reached is basically a proper evaluation of the situation and the multiple factors that come into play while taking a decision on whether to retain him or not. And these factors would um, these factors also depend on the company's aspect as well as the driver's aspect, and um, only then can a decision be made. So it is not certain unless we receive more information to come to a conclusion as to why he should be hired or fired,
Man,
retained off.
I believe that if the driver has been a loyal employee for 25 years with a good record, firing him based on an unfortunate accident, if he was not at fault, that is a very big part of this, may be harsh and demoralizing for other employees. Uh, Retaining him might be seen as an act of compassion provided it aligns with legal and operational constraints. So, if his license is revoked, the company should reassign him to a different role instead of dismissal. That is what I think we summarized in the end.
Ayushi,
So we all agree that there are a lot of unanswered questions and the company needs to look into it. But there are also various factors which could have played a part in it. We did decide that because of his long tenure and his overall good performance, the preference we do lean towards keeping him. But ultimately, a proper research needs to be made into the matter to reach a final decision.
okay, fine. See, one mistake that all of you have made is I asked for a summary and you gave your own opinion. Okay, please don't do that. If you are asked for a summary, you have to give a summary. If you are asked for your own opinion, then you have to give your own opinion. Okay, most of you just gave your own opinion instead of the summary. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The other thing is if the court has punished him and he's not out on bail, then he'll be in jail. How do you employ him?
But sir, if they're considering to take him, then he is out, obviously, na.
But it says the court has punished him. How can he be out?
But punishment could, like, in case of accident, it's not always jail, na. It could be a fine. It could be any like the incident which happened with the Pune kid, right? And essay or something like that. It's not compulsory that it's going to be jail time only.
Okay, fine. So there is something called culpable homicide not amounting to murder. So he has probably committed that. Now you all are saying that we have to evaluate. Now what is the court there for then if you have to evaluate as a company? You are above the court. You as a person or you as a company, are you above the court of law?
Um, no, sir, of course we are not. Like the company is not, but the fact that they mentioned that the driver was not at fault, bringing that up was then irrelevant if there is no sort of discussion
Yeah,
to
I
be
mean,
done on that.
yeah, but if they are saying that court has punished him, then the role of the company gets very limited because company can probably on his behalf they can fight his case in a higher court. If this is a lower court or high court, then they can go to
Mm-hmm.
court or like that. Okay.
Hmm.
Yes, sir. But it
Yeah.
was mentioned that it's not his mistake. That's why we all went in that direction.
If it was not his mistake, then why will the court punish him?
So I was
If
gonna say that also, but I didn't say that because I thought it would be a wrong impression. I was gonna say that we all know how the judicial system is flawed in our country. So it could also be that the court was finding a scapegoat. It could be that case.
whatever you feel like, but if the court has said something and if you are saying that the judgment is wrong, up to that fine. You
But
start blaming the judicial system for this kind of case and then you say that no, we'll employ him.
but
That
sir, then why was it mentioned he was not at fault? Then that is so they are so basically saying that he did not make a mistake, but the court punished him. So what should we do?
so yeah, what should you do is you can only go for a higher court now.
So we can go for a higher court, but as a company, if we find out that suppose his brakes were malfunctioning, that is the company's car's fault, right? And let's say the court punished him, but as a company, we don't know na that it was not his fault, so we can give him another chance.
You have to prove it in court now. How can you as a company decide anything if the court has punished him? That then you are going against the law.
So, sir, one question over. So there can also be this point of view that if that the company could also have a policy, just may if an employee has been punished by court, they can't be employed. So this aspect can
Exactly.
also.
Most
Sir,
of
but
the companies have that.
they if they my
Yeah.
I thought that if they are considering to take him back or fire him, then that means he's out of the case. He could, if he's in jail, then there's no question only na to say ki is he on case or like is he should we take him back or should we not. The whole fact that they were considering to either take him or fire him means he was back at their firm.
No, no. If he's out also, suppose he has served his sentence and everything, most of the companies will have a policy that says that convicted people will not be hired by us.
Hmm.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that is there. But
As
Yeah, so then in that case, then there is no point of debate only because anyways he can't be hired. So whether to keep him or not is not a question only.
so on humanitarian ground, what do you do in that situation?
So if the policy says you can't hire a convicted person, then it's out. Then you can't hire him.
What is the
Simple. Sorry.
what is the option left for you? If you are saying all that you all said, then what is the
Hmm.
option left for the company? Suppose the
Yeah,
policy.
so like you said, higher court, if they actually really want him, they could appeal to higher court. But the question again is, would a company do so much for a driver?
Exactly. The company doesn't even do so much for higher management.
Exactly, right.
What is the option for the company? Let's say it's a driver's case only. He has been convicted. Company is not going to appeal to higher court. What can the company do for him?
they can give him a good recommendation and tell him to find another job.
Or I think some
He has
monetary
been by court.
benefit other.
You are going to say that no, he's a good guy. Give him a job.
Sir, but that's what I'm saying. We do not, sir, but there is a line mentioned that it was not his mistake. What if the girl was crossing at a green signal when she was not supposed to do so? How is it his fault then?
So that has to be proven in court. Na court is not accepting that logic.
What is
I think over here the matter is already out of court and everything is in the hands of the company. And even if the company knows it was their fault and if they already have a policy in place where they can't hire, then them recommending him to someone else is also somewhat a hypocrisy, right? Because if I'm not keeping an employee,
Uh,
how can I recommend that employee to someone else?
They can't do it because if they do it, it will be a sort of uh, contempt of court kind of situation, probably.
Right. So
So
I
there
think
is
maximum would
any of
be some
yeah, what
monetary allowance. Yeah.
monetary allowance if you give, it sets a bad precedent.
But if
so
it's a
then
if the company has identified it's their fault, but they all anyways have to let him go, then maximum they can do is give monetary allowance because they feel guilty about it.
But company policy, it will set a precedent, is what I'm saying.
Hmm. So then nothing. Then they'll just let him go, just like that.
Or they can probably give his children or his wife another job. That would also set a precedent. But that would be a better way to deal with the situation. No.
Okay. Yeah. So then that depends on those variables. If he has a wife or children or things like that.
Yeah. And then the other thing that we must understand or question in this case is that he left his boss at home. So normally company pool cars are kept in one certain place. Okay.
Hmm.
So from the boss's house, from the MD's house to that pool car garage, wherever it is, if he's going there, then he's probably on company duty, right?
Hmm.
But if he's not supposed to take his car home to his own home at night, then we have to ask whether the MD asked him to take the car home because it was late night. Then what? The situation changes. Whether he took the car to his own house and that's when the accident happened and he did not take permission from the MD, then the situation is different. So these questions should have come up in the discussion.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Sir, I have one doubt. In a GD, if like I thought of some topics and those topics were already discussed, then what do I do in that scenario?
You have to just embellish them with examples. That is what happens in most GTs. See, this GT went on for abhi we are in the 20th minute. Okay. You will
Yes.
find with 4 or 5 of you in 7, 8 minutes we are getting over with cases and GDs. Okay. But at this moment, some of you are still not very aggressive about the GD part. So in the actual scenario, if you are going to have a GD, then people will be very aggressive. So it will go on and on and on, and the same point gets discussed. In the GDs that we have had in the past, and where the length of the GD has been shorter, I have told you that with 3-4 people, if you're speaking for 8-10 minutes and covering all the points, it's fine. But in the actual GD, if you're given 15 minutes, you have to. What happens usually is people repeat the point in their own words and give some examples to support them. If you give more examples, it is always better.
So, for example, like by the time I got the chance to spoke, everything that I had thought had already been discussed. So I did not want to repeat it because it did not look good. So
No,
what should have I done in that scenario?
you have to repeat it. That's the only way, because that's what happens in an actual GD also. Fortunately, nowadays we don't have so many GDs in most of the B schools. Why we are doing it here is so that you can think with an open mind about different situations if you are asked in the interview. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Anything else? So, who has an upcoming interview?
I have one on Sunday.
Sunday. Today is what? Wednesday. So tomorrow we can do another interview with you.
Yes, yes,
The normal class time 8:45.
yes.
And Manya, Harshita, would you be comfortable giving an interview in the group? Not today, but maybe tomorrow or day after.
So maybe.
Give it a try, maybe just tomorrow or day after. Tomorrow, if we have time after we do the interview, otherwise on Thursday, Friday.
Okay, sir.
Chalo.
Uh,
Yeah.
and have IMT calls been out? Because
IMT Shubham said he has his interview for IMT in Kolkata on some
uh,
8th Feb.
okay, because I didn't get a mail, but on the portal I can see your slot selection. This, which is also for mid end February.
Check your spam folder or call them up tomorrow. What is your
Okay,
cat percentile?
it's 89.94.
So you have applied to all the centers, all the
Yeah,
locations.
yeah, yeah.
Then you will get.
Uh,
Okay, we'll meet tomorrow at 8:45 then.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.